Why couldn't Geto absorb Toji's cursed spirit? We're going to talk about that and a bunch of other questions from you guys surrounding Geto and also a few from Kenny, because why not? So let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. So first up, the question from the intro, coming to us from DRG. Why couldn't Geto absorb Toji's cursed spirit? Because under normal circumstances, Geto can easily absorb any cursed spirit that's weaker than him, and that one clearly is. However, this cursed spirit was already bound to Toji. Now, whether that be by binding vows or just the nature of their special relationship, I don't have the nuance for you there, but the bottom line is it was already bound to Toji. So Geto cannot break that unless he first deals with Toji. And another prime example of this is Akotsu and Rika. We know that Geto wanted to absorb Rika, and although she is special grade, which would make it far harder for him to absorb her, he can't until he deals with Akotsu because Rika is bound to Akotsu. So, same situation. Next up, we've got this question from Dre, who wants to know about Geto's place amongst the special grades, the reasons why he might not have a domain expansion, and also if I could speculate on what the other special grades' maximum techniques might be. So feel free to pause if you want to read the exact wording here. But yeah, I believe Geto is the weakest amongst the special grades, but that's definitely in part due to the fact he didn't get time to flourish, right? Because his life was cut short, as it were. So I think if he still did exist in the current timeline, he would be much stronger than we saw him in JJK0, obviously. And I actually have another sponsor question where I'll go more in depth on that. But I do think absolutely he didn't have a domain expansion because JJK0 was originally written as a one-shot. I think Gege probably didn't even have the idea for domain expansions at the time he was writing that. Or if he did, it wasn't fully fleshed out yet, which is why he didn't include it, right? So I think he would get a domain expansion if he had survived longer in life. As to what it would be, I think it would have to have something to do with just like getting all of the abilities of the curses he had and using the curses themselves. So you know how he can extract their ability with Uzumaki? I would imagine in the domain, he wouldn't need to do that. He could just use them all, plus he could summon them all. So that would be like my best guess for something cool. And then as far as what the maximum techniques of the other special grades would be, similarly, I think Gege slightly moved away from maximum techniques after JJK0. We did see Jogo use one. We have seen a couple of them, right? But we've never seen Gojo use one. And I actually put out a video on like what would Gojo's hypothetical maximum technique be. So check that out if you want. I don't come up with too much there though. But I think it would have something to do with like being crazy precise on like an atomic level, using blues and reds like to basically explode somebody from the inside out. But as far as Akotsu and Yuki, I think we kind of saw their maximum techniques without actually seeing them. Like Akotsu's, I think, could be the pure love beam that Rika shoots out at the end of JJK0. Now, it obviously wasn't coined that, but I think it kind of makes sense, especially since it went up against Geto's maximum Uzumaki. And then for Yuki, it similarly wasn't referred to as her maximum technique, but I feel like the black hole would have to be it. Next up, we've got this question from Alan, who wants to know why Kenjaku used Uzumaki on Mahito instead of just summoning Mahito as a curse and forcing him to do the Culling Games activation. And this is a good question. We don't really have like a concrete answer for it, but I think the best we can take from it is that Mahito didn't possess the skill or the knowledge to do what Kenjaku was going to do. Now, we know that Kenjaku didn't enhance the abilities of Mahito because, as we know, when he absorbs a curse, that's how strong it is and that's how strong it will stay. But Kenjaku could have knowledge to utilize like the long distance aspect of it, or perhaps because he was the one to make the binding vows, he had to be the one to cast the technique. That's my best guess for it. So next up, we've got this really interesting question from Drew, who asks, if Ogami used her seance technique on Geto, could she summon the soul back to the body and basically bring Geto back in the same way that Toji was brought back? And I think so, yes, because she can summon soul information just like body. She just didn't do that with Toji because she didn't want Toji to take over, but, Toji took over. I got a whole video on that if you need more information on that technique and what happened there. But theoretically, yeah, this would work in my opinion. The only hangups are, I think Kenjaku would have to be compliant, which he's not going to do, because I assume the vessel that you summon the information to has to be willing to accept that. Now, maybe you could like pin him down and, feed him the DNA or whatever the case may be. I guess you wouldn't need the DNA in Kenjaku's case, but I'm assuming it has to be a willing participant. But if not, maybe they could, pin him down and make him take it. Other than that, though, it wouldn't be a permanent solution because, again, with Toji, it was a unique circumstance because he doesn't have cursed energy. But as soon as Geto ran out of cursed energy, the soul would, dissipate. The technique would fade. But this is a really cool thought. Next up, we've got this question from Green, who wants to know adult Geto versus Toji, and also Geto versus the current state of the cast. Now, I'm not sure if you're an anime only or a manga reader, so I'll kind of give this answer in two parts. So first of all, adult Geto versus Toji, I'm assuming you're just meaning like JJK 0 Geto and not like a hypothetical if Geto never died situation. But honestly, in either case, I give it to Toji. My man is just built different. Definitely people beat Toji, but it's like, you got to be at the top of the top to really even be considered, in my opinion, especially if we're giving Toji access to his cursed tools, which I assume we are. And yeah, even though Geto's got, mad versatility and can, summon a lot of cursed spirits, I just, Toji's built different. That's not going to really phase him that much. Again, especially if he's got his cursed tools, he can basically one-shot almost all of the curses with the Soul Split Katana. And, he can't get caught in a domain, even if this hypothetical Geto has a domain. So, yeah, I just don't think Geto can do it. Now, for Geto versus the current state of the cast, if you're an anime only, excuse me, yeah, he doesn't, I think he probably loses to the special, he obviously loses to Gojo. I think he loses to Yuki. If you're anime only, I think he edges out Akotsu in the current state of things. And then for everyone else, he probably puts up a really good fight against, Toji aside. I think he could probably beat most of the special grade curses except for Mahito, because I don't think he's going to have a way to damage Mahito due to not being able to hit the soul. And then obviously he can't beat Sukuna. But the other special grade curses and everyone else, I think adult Geto does take them down. Now, from this point forward, for my anime onlys, you should probably back out. We're going to get into some manga questions revolving around all of this. And to start it off, let's talk about Geto versus the current state of the cast in the manga. And honestly, I think he just gets beat by almost everybody. All of the main players, because they've just ascended so much after this time skip arc that they're all beasts. Kotsu definitely takes him down. I think Yuji takes him down. Ascended Maki takes him down. Same thing as Toji, basically. Higuruma. I think, again, the main cast, I think they all got him. Next up, we've got this question from Hakuni, and as always, feel free to pause and read this whole thing if you want to, but he's basically asking, how old do I think Kenjaku truly is? And I'm totally with you that he's probably far older than anyone is really giving him credit for. I think a lot of people probably just assume he's from the Heian era, right? And, is roughly 1,000+ years old. But I think it's entirely possible that he is vastly older than that. Now, he's not necessarily, right? But the man has functional immortality. So just because Sukuna is from the Heian era, and Tengen, presumably, people are just lumping Kenjaku in with them, right? But, I don't think there's really any hard evidence that he's far older than them, but it's just as likely that he is than that he isn't. And to address the specific thing you're talking about with Druve, I get what you're saying, and your interpretation could be totally correct, but I'm not using that as evidence because I think second incarnation does imply a second time that he has incarnated post his normal life. And finally, y'all, we've got this question from Matthias. As always, feel free to pause and read the whole thing. But Matthias is asking a few questions about Kenjaku, Ten Shadows, and Yuki. Now, I've made videos talking about some of those things with Ten Shadows, so I will link that in a pinned comment on this YouTube video. So be sure to check that out because I go more in depth on the specific things you're talking about there. And also on Kenjaku's will being inherited, which I think also Hakuni from the last sponsor question mentioned as well. So be sure to check those out, y'all. But as far as your questions revolving around Yuki, I don't think we know explicitly if she ever went to Jujutsu High. Like, she maybe did for a little bit, and that's how she met Gojo and Geto. But she is not affiliated with them at all anymore. Jujutsu High, that is, because she, vehemently disagrees with how they do things. Probably in large part due to the whole Star Plasma vessel situation. But I do think that Kenjaku didn't have plans to take over her body. One, because I'm sure everyone else there made sure he didn't abscond with that, and if he had, that would have been mentioned in my opinion. But two, I don't think he has use for her body. I think the Geto's body is much more useful for him. Finally, one last shout out to everybody who made this video possible. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one.